The pros and cons of Proposal 5, that's one of our topics today on Spotlight, and we appreciate the two of you joining us. Scott Hagerstrom.
Correct.
Okay, got it right. Do you believe the state legislature is out of control?
The state legislature is not out of control. They're elected officials by the people of Michigan.
Then why Proposal 5? Doesn't that put some checks and balances on them? Doesn't that perhaps tie their hands for what they were elected to do?
Not at all. It's just a reasonable control. Prop 5, a yes vote on Prop 5 basically puts a reasonable control on legislators and requires them to work a little extra harder if they want to take the hard-earned money of Michigan citizens.
Roger Martin, would you agree with that? And why not let something as important as taxes, which everybody has to deal with, why not let that be a vote, a majority vote of the people or both houses of the legislature?
You know, Chuck, I'm a business owner, have been for more than 20 years. I don't like paying taxes any more than the next guy does. And if you look at Proposal 5, it is not a check. It is about making government impossible. Proposal 5 would...
What do you say when you say make government impossible?
Well, here's what Proposal 5 basically does. They call it a two-thirds or supermajority proposal. Basically what it would do, it would give 13 state senators the power to block any tax policy that would be supported by the other 135 members of the legislature. You know, we've been a majority democracy in this state for 175 years, ever since Michigan became a state. And, you know, it's not just me who's opposed to this. We've got the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, Business Leaders for Michigan, the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Grand Rapids Area Chambers of Commerce, the Traverse City Chamber of Commerce, the Southwest Michigan Tea Party, the Republican leaders of the House and Senate, the Democratic leaders of the House and Senate. You know, these are people and organizations who generally don't like taxes. But this is bigger than that. This is about turning democracy on its head. It's about giving 13 senators supermajority control over the legislature, and that's wrong. And that's why so many people are opposed to Proposal 5.
Mr. Hagerstrom, that is a very broad coalition and a very diverse coalition. Liberals and conservatives are saying no to this. Why are you saying yes?
Actually, it's mostly Lansing special interests and lobbyists that are opposed to this. The Michigan Chamber of Commerce wants to raise the gasoline tax. Michigan already has the 5th highest tax on gasoline in the country. Under this proposal, under the governor's proposal to raise gasoline taxes, it would take us to the highest gasoline tax in the country. Proposal 5 is very, very reasonable. The appropriate place for this proposal is in the state constitution. We have 15 sections in the Michigan Constitution that already require a supermajority vote of the legislature, and one of those provisions was a part of Proposal A, and it requires a 3/4 majority to raise certain property taxes here in the state. So all Proposal 5 would do, it wouldn't lower one tax. The sky's not falling in, like the other side is saying. All it would do is require a little bit higher bar to pass tax increases. Right now it takes 76 legislators out of 148 to raise taxes. All this would say is that you need 100 legislators to raise taxes. You know, last year the governor and the legislature raised taxes on seniors, and they made a temporary Jennifer Granholm tax increase permanent.
But they would also say that they restructured Michigan's taxes up under the current system that they have, and that they would not have been able to do that if Proposal 5 had been in place.
Absolutely untrue. We saw in 1994 when they passed Proposal A, they put it before the voters. Under this proposal, they can always go to the voters. The voters of Michigan are very reasonable, and 69% back in 1994 approved the tax changes. Anytime they want to gouge somebody else, they'll need 2/3 approval. Anytime they want to lower a tax, they'll need a simple majority. If this had been in place several years ago, we never would have ended up with the horrible MBT business tax in the first place.
All right, let me give Mr. Martin a chance to react to that.
My point earlier about making government impossible. You can look at Michigan history the last 56 years. Never before in Michigan history has a tax reform policy passed with a supermajority vote, the type of majority that these guys propose for our Constitution. So again, this is about making it impossible to ever even consider a major tax reform as part of a balanced solution to government. You know, the other part of Proposal 5, which is very interesting, yes, it would make it almost impossible to ever raise a tax or create a state tax. It also makes it almost impossible to end a tax break or a tax loophole. And that's why Matty Moroun, everybody knows Matty Moroun down here in the Detroit media market. He's the guy who's been placing all these negative ads about the bridge for the last couple of years. These guys raised $2.3 million to put Proposal 5 on the ballot. Matty Moroun contributed $2.29 million of that, all but $1,000. What he's trying to do is buy a constitutional amendment that would forever enshrine in the Constitution tax breaks that benefited his corporation. This is not a grassroots movement. It's about a billionaire trying to control the Constitution.
All right, Mr. Hagerstown.
That's absolutely
okay. Hey, hang on one second.
True. I have the campaign finance reports right here to prove it.
False.
Hey, hang on one second. I got to get a commercial break in.
Sure.
When we come back, I promise I'll start with you, give you a chance to respond to Roger Martin and the accusation about Matty Moroun. We'll be right back. Don't go away.